I'm Lisa K. Donner, along with Andrew Moran, Jeff Charles, James Fight, and Sarah Cowgill. And this is the Conservative Five, Liberty Nation's online TV news program. It was bound to happen. Millennials have gotten out of their parents' basements and have begun to vote. And now there's a study by Pew Research Center that said it was these young folks that really made the difference for Joe Biden. For the longest time, both Republicans and Democrats didn't really factor in the 18 to 25-year-old demographic. But one party continued to court the youngsters, and it's beginning to pay off. So where does that leave the grand old party? Let's face it, Democrats dominate the young voter. They cater to idealism, peace, love, kumbaya, free stuff. So how can the libertarians, the independents, the conservatives compete for these young voters? Jeff, you've been beating this drum for a long time. But practically speaking, what's the GOP and every other group to the right of the Dems to do?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to take them getting out of their comfort zone. I mean, there are, when it comes to the leadership of the Republican Party, you've got people who think that the way that they've been doing it for the past few decades is going to keep working. Then you've got people who recognize the need for change, but they just don't know how to do it. And then you've got people who know how to do it and want that change to happen, but these aren't the people who are in charge. So I talk about this a lot with the Black community, but it also applies to younger voters. The conservatives and Republicans have typically done very badly with younger voters. And it's because we have this mindset that we have to do things the exact way that we've been doing them. I mean, and I'll just say, there's a reason why the Republican Party is perceived as the party of old white men, because that's what we have. And now we have people outside of that, but you don't really see them out there pushing for change like that, or you don't see them being as prominent and being elevated as much. I do think that is changing. I from what I'm seeing, the trend is starting to change. I wish it would change quicker, but frankly, Republicans have to stop being afraid of doing what the Democrats are doing. Democrats are not afraid to go into uncharted territory and try to win over voters that don't typically vote for them. We have to start thinking more long term.
I've got to ask the question, does some of it have to do with the old Winston Churchill line, people are younger and tend to be more liberal, and as they age and they start to pay taxes, et cetera, they get to be more conservative. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I've written about that in my pieces of why young people are so attracted to socialism. And one of my conclusions was that eventually as they get older, when they start paying taxes, when they have children, when they have to work the bone, and they see all these public servants profit from the fruits of their labor, that's when they'll start having more conservative principles. And also, as a note, that's actually a John Adams quote. I didn't know that until I wrote that article, but John Adams said something similar to that. So, and then I guess Winston Churchill took that from John Adams.
Sarah, are we just going to say what we should do is what the Republicans need to do is push for legalization of marijuana, and then everybody will become a Republican? You're a long time in the Republican world. Tell us.
Well, we just need something to call ours. Everything we do looks like, and I'm not even a Republican, but everything that conservatives try to do tends to sound like tamping down on freedoms. And I know that is a broad generalization, big brushstroke, but it sells well, and it sells well with young people. And I mean, for God's sakes, come out and say, let's legalize marijuana. You'd have a whole bunch of people paying attention, and you need people to pay attention. I made a big joke 2 years ago. I thought it was hilarious that the Democrats were hosting petting zoos in voter registration drives. They had free ice cream, and they had little animals that you could come pet, and you just sign up and be registered to vote. And hundreds of people showed up to do that.
Well, you can't say that amid COVID that the Republicans aren't, the ones that are really promoting liberty and independence and individualism. I mean, I would think
but we're promoting go back to work when the Democrats and Fauci are saying, "Oh, wear a mask." I mean, the country is so divided now. I'm not sure. I mean, Jeff, correct me, or Jim or Andrew. I'm not sure that we're making any headway whatsoever with the young voter. I don't see it at all.
Yeah, I recently reported on a poll about young people and socialism, and there was an interesting tidbit, and I found that the number of young Republicans who approve of capitalism, is on the decline. And Jeff has written about this many times before. It's about marketing the message, and that's something the right has done a terrible job at. They're great at exposing the asinine rhetoric on the left about socialism and liberalism and progressivism, but when it comes to promoting capitalism, free markets, or any of the myriad of conservative libertarian principles, they can't do it. They're terrible at it.
Jim.
Andrew made a good point about growing up and paying taxes and all that kind of stuff. There are several scales to determine what generation you're in. But the earliest millennials were born, depending on what scale you pick, anywhere from 1979 to 1984. Mm-hmm. I was born in 1984. I am a millennial, and I am 36 years old. And I hold nothing higher as a political ideal than individual liberty, regardless of what party's pushing that. But millennials are growing up and getting out and being more involved. So you've still got some of the younger ones that are, in their 20s that are maybe they're still buying the whole socialist thing because mom and dad are still buying everything. But the millennials who are actually working for themselves and paying taxes and raising kids of their own now, we're not buying it.
All right.
And here's the thing. I mean, speaking to that, as people grow up, they get more conservative. That is true to a certain extent. But again, Jim, you're a millennial. Millennials are already paying taxes. They're already working. And guess where they're voting? They're still voting Democrat. So there's got to be more to this. The problem is that, the Democrats come with, let's do some socialism. And then we say, no, that's bad. That's bad. And the people come to us and say, okay, well, what's your solution? I don't know, free markets.
I just told you, socialism's bad.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah,
I mean, we're very good.
That's not an answer.
Yeah, it's like Andrew said, we're very good at criticizing, but we're not good at coming with our own solutions.
The right has no message. They don't have a message. It's capitalism, and capitalism is bad for a lot of people under the age of 40.
I think free stuff is the answer.
They wear Che Guevara on their t-shirts. They embrace what the left tells them. They sell them the dream.
Okay.
Free stuff is the answer. All we have to do is offer free liberty.
I liberty is never free, but anyway,
I know.
I just want to bring up one issue before we put this to rest. And that is, are we overreacting? Could it be that all these youngsters voted because it was so easy this time? Get 15 ballots in the mail and fill one out. It's different when you have to get your rear end off the couch, put down the nachos, and, head to the polls.
Well, then the Republican Party, the moderates, they need to get the ballots in the mail and stop calling for all this to stop. That's how the last guy won.
Well, or maybe, I don't know.
I disagree. I think I wish, and I've hated this for a while now. I wish that no one voted who wasn't engaged enough to actually study the politics behind the people that they're voting for. I wish there were no party line voters, and I wish there were no what the heck, it's easy, I'll vote.
I think culture.
This is a massive responsibility.
I was saying culture plays a big part of it. I think it was Andrew Breitbart who said that culture is a downstream from politics. And when you see Hollywood, big tech, all these celebrities endorse, leftist propaganda, then how can the young people form their own mind? If they think that, I don't know, Ben Stiller, first thing that came to my mind, it says, oh yeah, socialism is great, or I love government, then what they're going to think? They think, oh, this guy's great. So now I think socialism is fantastic.
Here's one thing I'll add to that, though. I mean, I got to push back a little bit because, yes, the left does have control over those institutions. But if you look at polling on every major issue, like defunding the police and mask mandates, vaccine mandates, the American people, including millennials and young people, are not on board with it. So I do think that it does eventually still come down to messaging. We are not persuading people, and the Democrats, they are.
This is a great opportunity going to waste for sure.
Well, we all agree conservatives need to attract the young voter, but none of us can agree on exactly how to do that. So if you have an idea, audience, let us know in the comments section of Liberty Nation's YouTube page, Facebook, or even Twitter. Thanks so much, panel. That's That's it for our Conservative 5 panel today. Check out our other C5 shows and segments on your favorite video platform, YouTube, Vimeo, Rumble, we're on them all. As well, Liberty Nation has its own Roku channel where you can see all of our TV productions. Thanks so much for tuning in. And remember, surf on over to libertynation.com. For Frank Diorio, our editor and post coordinator, and our executive producer, Sarah Cowgill, I'm Lisa K. Donner, editor-in-chief. This has been a production of libertynation.com, conservative news where truth matters.